Welcome back to His and Hers Movie Podcast. This is episode number 49, featuring a look ahead at the horror films that will be released in 2021, hopefully, as well as our 10 most anticipated 2021 horror films. I am one half of your hosting duo, podcasting on this January 10th, 2021, JP, and joining me tonight, as always, is Carly. We're both podcasting out of southwestern Pennsylvania, and this is our first episode of the new year. We took a little bit of time off. So how are you doing, Carly?
I am great. Do you know why?
Because we have wrapped up our prep for 2020, and we recorded a top 10 podcast that will be released on 22 Shots.
And most importantly, we can watch movies for fun!
Right. We can
moves for fun.
Watch movies for fun. Movies for
moves
fun.
For fun.
Movies for fun.
Fun.
Movies for fun.
Moves for fun. You're not on beat. But whatever.
No, you're not on beat. What are you talking about?
You're going too slow with it.
No,
like,
I was trying to slow down for you to catch up.
No, I was going ahead of you, and you're just like, moves
right, let's
for
try again.
fun.
3, 2, 1. We'll do it. 3,
okay.
2, 1. Moves for fun.
Moves for fun.
Moves for
moves
fun.
For fun.
You
moves
suck
for
at
fun.
You know how much easier it is when we're in person?
Well, dude, this is your fault, not mine.
Why?
Because, I don't know, you're just not on, like, I'm on beat. I don't know why
you're not.
I'm on beat.
We literally drive down the road, and when we were talking about being done with prep for 2020, we started chanting moves for fun.
We're stupid.
Because we get to watch whatever we want for, well, you get to for a long time pretty much. Me, I get about a week off, and then I'm back into 22 Shots watching 7 Paranormal Activity movies. But
I mean, I'm going to watch 2005 moves as well, but, you know, yeah, moves for fun. I mean, not to say I didn't have fun with 2020. In fact, by the end, I did not even mind, because I was watching some pretty good stuff, like, towards the very end, so it wasn't as agonizing as I thought it would be, but at the same time, as always, I am happy to be done. So, new year, no moves.
Right. New year,
right.
New moves. Alright, well, we kind of have a bigger than planned show ahead of us, so we should probably get into it very quickly, but a few things I just wanted to note before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show. The first thing is, I did mention that I wanted to give a list of the best things that I watched in 2020 that were not horror. I think, did I mention doing that on the show?
Yeah, you did last show, I believe.
Dang it. So I'm probably not going to necessarily do that just because we came up with the idea of a preview instead. But I will just say my favorite thing that I watched was The Queen's Gambit. My favorite non-horror thing, which I did an extensive review on this show for. So that was really fun, really cool. And I really, really enjoyed watching that miniseries. King of Staten Island was another thing that I really liked. And McMillions was another thing that was really fun. But it was mostly like documentaries or like things like that, miniseries that I watched. Didn't really watch a ton of movies itself that were non-horror, but hopefully I'll squeeze in a few more this year. Hopefully, I'm hoping theaters stay open and we get some wide releases and stuff like that, but, you know, that's to be seen, I guess. The other thing that I wanted to note was that I built a new shelf for my DVDs and Blu-rays, which was something that I wanted to do at the beginning of this year. I wanted to get my collection back under control because I literally had, let's see, like, it was an absolute disaster. What I tried to do last year was I had tried to organize it with all my unwatched stuff in one place and all my watched things in another place, so I could, because I had mentioned on one of the first shows we did that I wanted to watch a lot more of my collection over the past year. My goal was to watch more than I bought, and if I failed that, which I did,
yeah,
my goal was to watch at least 150 of my unwatched DVDs and or Blu-rays and or 4Ks. And I'm happy to say that I did in fact hit the 150 mark. I had 159, and then when I was going through my collection I found like a handful of other ones, so I think I was at like 165 watched films that were sealed or unwatched, so I was very happy about that. And I'm going to do the same thing this year. I want to at least hit 150, but really, realistically, I want to have watched more than I bought. But that's not going to happen. The Dollar Tree really screwed me, because I bought, I think, like, I honestly think I bought about 90 movies from the Dollar Tree, which is crazy. And I was putting them on my shelves and stuff, and I was like, why did I buy this? But there was some stuff that I was like happy that I bought. And actually there was a few things that I bought that I already owned. So those will either go to you or somebody else or something eventually. But so I bought this new shelf, built this new shelf rather, which I bought the supplies for a while back. I kind of messed up a little bit. I could have had another shelf on it. I think it had 7 shelves. I could have had 8, I think, but I had them pre-cut the wood for me, and I was off by a little bit. It was like a very anxiety-inducing thing to get them to cut the wood. It was really busy and stuff, and it was like annoying as hell. So I kind of messed up, but I will say that it still turned out pretty good, the shelf that I made, and I pretty much had stuff everywhere. So last year I tried to make it to where I put all my unwatched in one place, and it just wasn't working because I didn't have the space. And so I have like 2 main big shelves in my room that I built on the wall, and then I have like a little crappy one that I had for years. This is one of the first ones I bought. It's like 2 rows deep, so it's like not really great for DVDs. It's like better for books or something like that. But I have that one, and then I have like another cool one that I bought, but it's kind of small, that I use for Blu-ray. And then I have these other weird ones that you have some too. We bought off of somebody that we worked with. They're very nice, but they're really impractical for like big collections. And then I had another little one that I found at a Goodwill one time that I have out in the hallway. And it's, again, 2 deep, so you can fit, like, a DVD and then another one in front of it. And I hate those because it's just a waste of space, and I don't want to double stack my DVDs. But anyway, I had filled those up with, they weren't in, like, any good way. They were just, like, stuffed in there, and, you know, Blu-rays, DVDs, 4Ks, a mix of everything, and they were all out of order. And my collection was so... Like, my Blu-rays were mostly in alphabetical order, but all my DVDs were everywhere. It was horrible. I had so much anxiety from, like, trying to, like, fit everything in place. It was just so annoying. And I know that that's, like, such a ridiculous problem to even have, but I'm a movie collector. And I started piling them up on like the couch that's broken in the living room and stuff like that. It was just a mess. So I built a new shelf. I filled it up almost completely. It has 2 spaces left over, and I'm pretty much out of space again. But I did take one of the shelves the one I bought at Goodwill, and it's completely empty now. So that's one thing. And then I have a little bit more. I have a little bit more space, like, in other places, because I did remove stuff from other places. But I pretty much almost have it all in order. My left shelf is all of my watched Scream Factories, and all my DVDs are in alphabetical order. My Blu-rays are by company for the most part. So I have Scream Factory, Vestron, Arrow Video, a couple of AGFAs, like 2 of them, a couple of MVDs, Artsploitation, Umbrella, which I have a good bit of Umbrella. When they used to send me them to review, and then they got a new guy and they stopped shipping into the US, so that kind of sucked. But I probably won't have any more ever, but the ones that I have I'm pretty happy with. And then Vinegar Syndrome, which turns out I have a ton of Vinegar Syndrome that I didn't realize I had as many as I do. And then Blue Underground, 7 Films, Synapse, Warner Archive, which over the past year and a half maybe, I built a collection of Warner Archive from 0 to almost all of the horror titles. And then it's all DVDs that I've watched. And then that's my left shelf. The right shelf is all what I just listed, but unwatched. So Scream Factories, Arrows, Vestrons, like all the things I just mentioned, but unwatched versions. And my 4Ks unwatched. So that's the right shelf. It's almost completely full. And then the like smaller shelf that I have is all of the Blu-rays that I have watched that are a company. Like, they're not a company, they're just like catalog releases, like stuff from Warner Brothers, not Warner Archive, but like Warner Brothers or like Lionsgate, or just like the standard regular companies, like the non-cool collector's edition stuff. And then on the right shelf I had to fit on one of the lower shelves like other titles that I have unwatched that are just standard catalog releases. And then the one that I built in the hallway, the brand new one, is all unwatched DVDs, and I have some box sets on top. But yeah, so it's about 300 DVDs unwatched, and then I don't even want to take a guess at the Blu-rays, but it's probably like closer to 500 unwatched.
That's a lot of moves, buddy.
Yeah. You sound disappointed in me.
I am a little, like, I was just when you're all like, I am proud I hit 165 unwatched moves, and I'm thinking as opposed to the 365 you probably bought throughout the year.
Yeah, but so all that's squared away. I'm pretty happy about it. It's pretty neat. It made me feel like kind of depressed though that I filled up all the shelves, and I'm like, I don't even know how many more like I could build. Like, honestly, I have like more space in the room that I could build shelves, but it requires me to remove posters off the wall, which sucks because I like them.
Yes. So
that's disappointing, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yes, that's a tragic story.
I think what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna buy as much just random stuff, and I'm mostly gonna focus on like 4K and then like special, like Scream Factory, Arrow, like good stuff like that, and then pretty much not buy like regular catalog titles as much anymore, except for the Dollar Tree. I still am kind of addicted to that because it's too good to pass up for $1.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is something that I was very relieved to get done at the beginning of this year. So, happy about that. So, with that said, I think we should probably get into the stuff we watched because I have a ton.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's go I'll go first, and I'll do like 10 or something then, because I have like almost double you, and then you can go, and then I'll finish up.
Okay.
All right. So the first thing I watched was I tried to watch that Alone movie that Watson recommended, and I ended up renting the wrong Alone, and it was, I don't even remember what it was about. I watched a lot of movies in like a week. But there was 3 movies called Alone that came out in 2020, which is annoying. It followed a writer who was like blind, and she was trying to work on her book or something, and she goes to like a little house, and something happens, and then a couple of teens show up. Pretty much everybody that I've seen that watched it gave it like a low score, and I did as well. It wasn't good. Gave it a 4 out of 10.
Oh, no.
And then, and I'm going to be pretty brief on the new stuff that I watched, because we did just record the 22 shots top 10, and I don't want to like reveal my hand too much with that.
Yes.
But the Golden Glove, 2019, getting its wide release early in 2020. It's a German film featuring a story about a real-life serial killer. It's pretty accurate to the original story. It's pretty disgusting and violent and vile and gritty and nasty. It's sort of unapologetically violent and gross. I really liked it, and I thought that it was one that was about a boxing movie, but it wasn't. So
You're stupid.
yeah, the Golden Glove, really good. I gave that one an 8 out of 10, or an 8.5.
Nice.
And then I watched Run from 2020. This was a thriller kind of horror film. People were comparing it to Misery. I could see that. It's basically about a girl who was born premature, and she has all these health problems. She's like diabetic and has cerebral palsy or something. It might not be cerebral palsy. It's like some sort of issue where she can't walk. So she's wheelchair bound, and she has some other asthma, all kind of health problems. And her mom is kind of weird and kind of keeps her locked up in a room because she's like overprotective of her. I thought it was pretty good. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Then I watched Antebellum, which is a movie that was kind of a like really hype movie, you know, kind of in the vein of like socially relevant, like Get Out and stuff like that. It was being billed as that. I think it was from the producers of Get Out or something. And it follows a slave on a plantation, and it cuts back to present day, and it's kind of interesting how it all plays into each other. The beginning was really good. It was shot really well. Like, the music was great. It was shot really well. Kind of amazing in the beginning scenes, and then it gets really boring in the present day stuff. And then it gets really exciting again when it ties into itself. It kind of, I don't want to say too much, but it reminded me of another movie that I watched this past year from the 2000s. But if that middle chunk had been more interesting, I could totally see this being one of the best films of the year, but it kind of disappointed in that way. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. And then we have The Vast of the Night from 2019, getting its wide release in 2020. I'm going to stop saying that. This one was about it's set in like the 60s, and it's a woman who works at one of those like phone transfer centers, like where they plug things into the wall and connect calls, like an operator thing. Yeah. And she gets a weird call, and her friend is like a radio DJ, and they start playing the call on the air and stuff, and it's kind of like a Twilight Zone-y type of story, stretched out into a feature-length film. I think it would have worked better as a short, like if it was in an anthology or something, because it was cool, but it's a lot of talking and not a lot of seeing anything. So it's a little problematic, but I thought it was fun. It was a fun little movie, nothing amazing, but I really liked it. I gave it a 7. And then I watched Monstrum from the year 2018, getting its wide release in 2020. This is a Shudder exclusive. It is a Japanese film, and or is it South Korean? I can't remember. Let me actually take a look at what it is.
It's South Korean.
It's South Korean?
Yes.
Okay. It follows a sort of like military person who is dealing with a plague, and he basically decides to take it upon himself to save a little girl from like being executed. And the emperor of the area is like really mad. It's a period piece, and basically exiles him and his friend from the military, and they live out in the outskirts. And one day they are brought back into the city to deal with another situation and help the emperor. Basically, there's a monster in the woods, but they don't know if it's actually a monster or if it's somebody trying to create panic and stuff. It's kind of political. I thought it was pretty decent. It's a little long. I think it's like 2 hours long, and the monster is a little rough with the CGI, but it's pretty fun. I thought it was decent. I gave it a 7. And then I watched Tremors from the year 1990. This was sent to me for review via Arrow Video, and I unfortunately did not get the 4K edition of Tremors, which I would have really, really loved, but I did get the cool special edition Blu-ray, and it is a pretty sick edition from Arrow Video there. And Tremors is an all-time favorite horror film of mine. It follows Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, and they are Val and Earl, and they're kind of like handymen. They live in this small town of perfection with like a population of like 14 people or 19 people or something, and it's out in the desert in Nevada, I believe. And there is all of a sudden these killings that are happening in the area, and it turns out that it's all done by these underground monsters that they dub graboids, that basically burrow under the earth and listen to vibrations and noise to attack their prey. And it's up to Val and Earl to sort of save the day. This movie is phenomenal. It's one of the best horror movies ever made, in my opinion. I know you're not a huge fan of it.
It's fine, buddy.
Yeah, but
it's a fine move.
I think that it's, when you talk about like buddy horror, I think of a couple of films. One of them is Phantasm.
Yeah.
The series, you know, you got Reggie and Mike and Reggie and Jody and stuff, and like that friendship among them. But Tremors is like the other buddy film that I think of. Like Val and Earl are so much fun together. They're just play off each other so well. It's insanely quotable. Like, I love the movie so much. It's one of my favorites. There's great monster action. The set pieces are amazing. All great practical effects with the graboids, because it was in 1990 and CGI wasn't quite there yet. So just a phenomenal, cool movie. Love the desert setting. All the side bit characters are great, like Walter Chang and Miguel and freaking Burt Gummer. And actually Reba McEntire plays a character in it, which is interesting. But it's a all-time classic, a total 10 out of 10.
All right.
And the Arrow edition, really nice. The transfer, even on the Blu-ray, really good. I actually do not own the original Tremors film on Blu-ray, surprisingly. So this was was it on Blu-ray? I don't even remember if it was on Blu-ray. I'm sure it was. But yeah, I would love to see them release the sequels, because I really like Tremors 2 and 3 as well. Tremors 2 is fantastic. But I like all the Tremors films, all 7 of them, even though the last one was my least favorite. So that is Tremors from the year 1990. Then I watched Spree from the year 2020. It follows a aspiring influencer, YouTube live streamer in real life, IRL type thing, and he is a Spree driver, which is basically the movie's version of Uber, and he is kind of like sick of not being able to get popular on YouTube, so he decides to start killing mofos on his live stream. Everybody in this movie is obnoxious and annoying. It's definitely commenting on the fact that those type of people, influencers, are obnoxious and annoying. Sometimes it's a little too much, though. I didn't really care for the movie early on. It did sort of win me over a little bit later on, and I did find it pretty entertaining. It's good. I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Then we have Butt Boy from the year 2019. What?
I said butthole.
2019, getting its wide release in 2020. This is a movie that is about a guy who sucks people into his butt and kills them. But it is played straight-faced, so it's taken 100% serious the whole time, which is just weird. People really like this movie. I honestly didn't care about it too much. It was okay. It's hard for me to get on board with the plot, even though it's played serious. Like, that's where the comedy comes from, because every character is treating this like a serious situation and stuff. There's like this grizzled alcoholic detective who's working the case, and he begins to suspect his sponsor in his AA meeting is sucking people up into his butt. And yeah, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
What?
And then what is that? That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have one more. I was watching Tom the Horseball Horny Awards that he does every year. This was the 10th annual, and it reminded me that I still haven't watched his daughter Hope's film, I Dare You to Open Your Eyes, from 2018, getting its wide release in 2020. Or I guess it wasn't really wide. It was just like a minor Blu-ray release that sold out really fast. I think I think it's available for rent, actually. But yeah, this is a film that I actually donated to. You know what? I totally didn't even watch the credits to see if my name was listed.
Oh no.
It is a film made by like a 16-year-old girl. And it's super ultra low budget, no budget filmmaking. It's about a young kid who's being bullied in school. His mother has passed away, and he befriends a girl, and he's trying to make it through his life. And there's also a killer that starts killing people in the area. You could see some influences from some Italian horror in there, especially with the killer and the mask and stuff like that. I thought that this was actually an incredible effort for a 16-year-old girl making her, first real attempt at I know she made another movie too when she was like 14 or something like that, but this was a bigger attempt. And I think that it was really impressive. Now, obviously, there's going to be problems with it. One of the things that I noticed early on was there is some editing issues, and there is a few audio issues. But honestly, it was like a few scenes, and they were early scenes. One scene with the guidance counselor was completely ADR. I feel like they probably lost the audio to it or something like that. One of the standout performances of the film is actually Tom, who plays the father, and he does a really good job. I feel like as the film goes on, I don't know if they shot this in sequential order or not, but one of the things that I noticed about the movie was it felt like the acting got stronger as the movie went along. Some of the acting is a bit rough, but nothing. Honestly, rough isn't even the right word, because it's pretty good for this level of movie for amateur actors. I've seen worse in bigger movies, but it's that sort of low budget acting where I saw potential in almost every person that was acting in the film, though I will say that. And like I said, Tom was actually pretty solid, and actually Hope was really good too. The lead, he's good at times, but I definitely see some issues with some of his acting. The narration wasn't as strong as I would have liked it to be. I really don't want to be too harsh on it, you know, because I am friends with these people, so there's a little bit of bias there, but I'm trying to be fair. And there's actually a decent gore scene too, which I was a little surprised at. And there's a few audio scenes outside where it gets a little windy and you can't really, it's a little distorted and stuff like that. But there's like one scene with that, and for the most part it's pretty well done. There's actually some good shots in it, and one of the strongest aspects of this film was actually the writing. It's actually a very like solid story for what they were working with. And if there's one thing that I've seen in no budget films is horrible, boring, drawn out stories that just are so uninteresting, and that was absolutely not the case with this film. I was actually into the story. I cared to see what was going to happen, and they're actually touching on topics that matter, which you never see in these low budget films. The idea of loss, there's actually a line that's used twice in a different variance. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I thought it was actually pretty brilliant. Basically, the lead, like I said, he's having relationship problems with his father, and he's bullied at school and stuff like that. His mom has died, and one of the lines he says is, "The thing I miss most about when what does he say? He says, the thing I miss most when my mom was alive, or the thing that." Shoot, how does it say it? It's like, what I miss most about my mom being alive is my dad. And I thought that was like really good, because his dad is alive. It's just that he's so different now since the mom died. It's like he lost his dad too.
Yeah.
And it was really sort of a powerful line. It's said twice in two different ways, but overall, I gave it a 5 originally, but the more I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna give it a 6.
Cool.
Yeah, and I think that it's worth checking out, especially to see like this young fledgling filmmaker do a film, which is just incredible. It's just incredible. I think that's absolutely amazing. So yeah, go ahead. We'll come back to me with the rest of mine.
How many more do you have?
A good bit.
No. Okay. First off, as per my
Survive.
Ah! All right. As per my Survive 05, I watched Boogeyman. Yes. Boogeyman.
Trash.
Yes, Trash Man, Boogie Trash, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, without, it's trash. I mean, I saw this movie when I was younger, probably 2005 when it came out, somewhere around then, and I thought it was trash as a kid. I watched it now thinking, opinions might change, and it is extra trash. It starts out like kind of cool, kids like in bed, and then his dad gets like sucked into the closet by this boogeyman dude, and then it fast forwards like 15 years, and the guy's still kind of like tormented by like the memory of what happened to his dad, and everyone thinks he's crazy, but he's like, no, there's a boogeyman, I swear. Yeah, it's just a very bland, nothing impressive happens movie, and it tries to use like effects, like you actually see the boogeyman and it looks really bad, because that's one thing with like the 2000s, they started using like CGI a lot more, and thinking like, oh, we're gonna have to show the full body ghost instead of it being in your imagination, and it just looks pretty horrible. Movie's very like dark too, and it's just not a good move. Not a good move. I think I gave this like a 3 out of 10 or something like that. So not a good one for Survive 05.
There's way too many of those movies.
Yeah.
There's 6 Boogeyman movies.
Yeah, I know. And this one's spelled with 2 O's. Some of them are spelled with like 1 O. But yeah. Then after that, I watched the Mortuary Collection 2019 for 2020, and that is on Shudder. This one is an anthology. It's got Clancy Brown as the sort of wraparound guy. He works at this mortuary, and he's telling this young girl these stories about different ways, you know, these people died, and I thought it was pretty good. It was very solid. I think all the shorts were rather good. Like, there was none of them I thought were bad or anything like that. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I dug it quite a bit. I thought Clancy Brown was great. I like him as an actor. He, Dave said it and I was thinking it too, he's basically the tall man. I feel like he's definitely inspired by that. And it was a cool little anthology film on Shudder. I mean, it's not little, it's like a long movie. It's like 2 hours, but it goes by decently because the shorts are good in it. So, and there's not like a ton of shorts. It's one of those ones where it's like 3 or 4, something like that. So, yeah, that was pretty good. I gave that like a 7.5, I believe. And then after that, I watched Run for 2020, which you already talked about, and you told me to check it out. And, you know, you already explained the plot. A girl has many illnesses, and you see at the beginning that she's born, I think, premature, and the mom's like, is she going to be okay? And all that, and then it flash forwards to when the girl's a teenager, and she is in a wheelchair and takes all these medications and whatnot, and the mom, there seems to be something off about her. Yeah, it definitely feels like Misery, and to me it felt like this Lifetime movie I used to watch a lot with my mom, and I remember the title. It was called Her Perfect Spouse. There are aspects to this that reminded me of that as well, oddly enough, but I thought this was really solid, very interesting film. Kind of, you know, knew what was going to happen and whatnot, but that didn't matter. I really liked the main teenage character and the mom. She played in a few things. She played in, what was called, freaking, not Split, the one that came after Split. What was that movie called?
Unbreakable? Not
No,
Unbreakable,
the one
Glass.
after. Glass. Yeah, she played the stupid psychiatrist woman in that, and she just has that, like, psychotic bitch look to her, so.
Are you talking about Run?
Yeah.
The actress she's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, she's in
Sarah
other things.
Paulson, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's in other things too, but.
Bird Box.
Oh yeah, she's the sister. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, I thought she was good. I thought the daughter was good. I thought the ending was kind of stupid. The very ending, like the last scene, was uncalled for. But other than that, it was good. I think I gave that like an 8 out of 10 because even though I didn't like the very end, I still really enjoyed it. Then after that, I watched Alone, the correct Alone. Did you even watch
never got to it.
Oh, buddy. Yeah, Watson was really high on this, and I remember it was playing at our drive-in. We didn't get to see it, but I did get to check it out. And yeah, you're correct. There are 2 other Alones. I was looking on Letterboxd. There was like a 4 and 1, and then the one you watched. So that's annoying. But yeah, this one was basically about this girl who is moving across the country, or across the state, far away. I think she's moving to like Washington or something. I forget where she's coming from, but it's a long drive. It's like a day or 2 drive away. So, and the reason she's moving is, you gather, she had something tragic happen back home, and she's basically trying to run away from it. But while she's on her journey, there's this blatantly just creepy guy who keeps running into her. He just is always running into her on the road and whatnot, and it doesn't really hold back. He wants to kidnap her, and he ends up doing it, and then it becomes like a situation of her trying to get away from him. So it's kind of like a cat and mouse movie, but it's interesting because it goes from like road horror to, captivity horror to just like some wilderness survival horror. So it's a lot of stuff kind of mixed into the movie. Nothing that you haven't seen before, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a solid film. I liked the main girl. I definitely liked the beginning aspects where it was more road horror than the rest of the movie. But overall, as a whole movie, I thought it was good. I could see some people, like I said, saying like, oh, it's everything that we've seen before, kind of just wrapped into one, but for what it was, I enjoyed it. I gave that an 8 out of 10 as well. And then after that, I watched His Name Was Jason from 2009. Asked my mom to get me this for Christmas, and she did. And I just popped it in one night when I didn't feel like watching anything else, and I built my puzzle while watching it. So, yeah, it's, you know, the shortened version of Crystal Lake Memories. Basically, it came out before that, a few years before that, and came out actually right before, I believe, the remake came out, because you have the cast kind of talking about it and, like, promoting it. So that's interesting. Tom Savini is the host of the show, and or the documentary, and like I said, it's just a very smaller version of what Crystal Lake Memories is, but I think it's easy to just put on and watch.
They actually reuse some of the interviews from that too in Crystal Lake Memories.
Yeah, it's definitely not something you have to watch. It's kind of like obsolete at this point to watch this, but I just wanted to kind of complete my Friday collection, so it's cool though. Then after that, I watched Hereditary 2018 with Austin, and because he just had been wanting to rewatch it, and I hadn't seen this since it came out in the theater, and we had a horrible theater experience, which ruined the entire ending for me, as we had to almost fight a 13-year-old boy. So I was happy to rewatch this one, and it's a great film. I think I gave it like an 8 or an 8.5 when we first saw it, but I bumped it up to a 10. Because I think it is fantastic. It's really scary. It's one of the scariest movies, I think, to come out in, you know, the last decade or so. And it's a true horror movie. Great acting, great drama, just fantastic. And then he and I also watched Midsommar from 2019, and it was the director's cut, which I don't remember the original cuts enough to, like, compare what's, like, missing, to be honest, so that didn't really matter too much to me, but it's a good movie. I feel like this one I wouldn't watch probably ever again, if I'm being honest. It's just very long, and it does kind of run a little bit slow for me at times, where I'm, like, kind of wanting it to pick up speed. When we saw it in the theater, I thought it was fine and a good film, and pretty much almost on par with Hereditary, but now I see, like, what some people mean, where Hereditary is far superior. But I still give this an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, it is a very great film. Again, you know, well shot. This one's definitely shot in a more interesting way, with the way he moves the camera and whatnot. He makes some cool decisions, but acting and everything is really good in this as well. So 8.5 for Midsommar. And then I watched Blood Vessel 2019 on Shudder, and this was a movie about these people who are at sea. They are kind of stranded, and they happen upon a ship, and they go on, and there are, like, these vampire people attacking them. This movie seemed cool at first, but then I just just wasn't that into it as it went on. I think I just don't like boat moves. Because this one reminded me of, like, Ghost Ship, or, what's that movie, Below, which is, like, a submarine movie, but still. I just got kind of bored by it and wasn't really into the story, but, I mean, to start out, it seemed cool, and then I just kind of was like, I don't really care to watch this. I gave that, like, a 6 out of 10. And then after that, I watched The Rental from 2020, and some people were really high on this. It seemed to have a lot of mixed opinions, but this is about, like, a group of people who, two couples who go out to this house that they rent for just, like, a getaway, because they're, I don't know, successful, and they want to get away for, like, a weekend. And it's the most, like, annoying, unlikable characters I've seen in a film probably this year. I just hate them all, and I think that kind of made me not really like the movie too much. I know you don't have to like characters to like the movie, but you know what, I do. It just didn't really work for me that much. I like the setting. It reminded me of, like, the Beach House a little bit, that also came out this year, and the ending I thought was creepy, like what was all going on, but I just wasn't, to me it was just like another okay movie. It wasn't anything that was really list worthy for me, but I know a lot of people did have it on their list, but I only gave it like a 7 out of 10. And then I watched Color Out of Space from 2019 and 2020. That was also on Shudder. Yes, I think that's the last movie I even watched for the year. And yeah, Nicolas Cage, this one came out like early in the year, and people, were talking about it then, but I kind of put it off because I wasn't that interested, and it's solid though. I mean, a meteor like lands on these people's farm, and it starts making the family act strange and just do weird stuff, and I thought it had some decently creepy moments, and it was a cool concept. Nicolas Cage is Nicolas Cage, and it's honestly not a big fan of his. I know people love him for how crazy he is, but to me it's that, I don't know, I just don't really, like, I didn't really like Mandy or Mom and Dad or anything like that. It just doesn't really work for me, but it was a decent movie. I did enjoy it. I gave that like a 7.5. And then the last thing that I was going to talk about was a movie that was like a do-it-yourself film by Alex Edwards from the Skeleton Crew podcast, and he was your co-host on Married with Children, correct? Yes. Right, buddy?
Yeah, I was his co-host.
Oh, that's what I meant to say. But, whatever, dude. Yeah, but he made a movie with his homies, that is a fan film for Friday the 13th. He called it Friday the 13th, 9 Lives, and, I
assume it takes place after 8.
After what?
8.
It's not, it's just like its own thing, like its own entity. But yeah, he made it with his friends, and I think he just shot it, like I read the description on the Skeleton Crew page, and it said it was just shot like on a cell phone, and it's actually pretty good. There's a plot, and it's pretty, basic, kind of about this woman whose brother is murdered by Jason, and then a few years pass, and there's some other murders going on, so they're like, oh shit, it might be Jason again, and they go back to the, camp, and to check things out, and then you see Jason kind of lurking around, and then they go to a drive-in, and then they have a party at the end, and the drive-in they go to is actually the Mahoning Drive-In, which you and I have been to twice now, because Alex lives in New Jersey, so that's like that's only like an hour away for him, where it's like 5.5 hours for us, but I thought that was cool, because I immediately recognized where that was shot, and honestly, this is pretty solid. It was pretty fun to watch, pretty easy thing to watch. It's not even that short, it's like an hour and 9 minutes, so they actually made like a full-length type of movie here. It's not just like a 30-minute to 45-minute thing, and you can just tell they had a lot of fun with it, and that they were big fans of the franchise. A lot of nods to the films, a lot of lines that were, kind of from the films and whatnot. The effects in it I thought were pretty good. I think maybe his wife did them, but I might be wrong on that. But I mean, they were solid the way they were done, and the kills looked like actual Jason kills. He puts in music from the films as well, and I think it's utilized in a good way. It's not over the top and obnoxious where it's like, hey, look what we're doing, this is this. He actually uses them in a creative way, and there's a lot of shots of Jason that are really solid as well. Some that I definitely, if I was playing that character, I wouldn't be able to do. I'd probably like fall over, start laughing, so I definitely give props for that. A lot of shots that are just of scenery that I thought he did really well too. Like I said, I think it was just done on a phone, but the quality is really good, so I dug that, and it was just a fun little movie, fun little fan service, and I recommend it. So if you want to check that out, that is on the Skeleton Crew's YouTube channel, and I checked, you just type in the Skeleton Crew, and it's pretty much the first thing to come up. So yeah, definitely check that out. I know it's been shared around in group pages as well, and I think it actually dropped on iTunes. So yeah, that was pretty good. And that is everything I have watched.
Alright, that wasn't everything, but we will get to the other 2 things that you watched.
Would you like to throw more shade?
Okay, so Don't Listen 2020. This was I don't know, like Spanish or something. I don't know what country it was. Netflix film. It was dubbed. And it's about a guy who loses his son in his house. They're messing up, and here's this ghostly call. So he enlists help of this paranormal guy. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Some scary stuff in there. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10. Then I watched Come to Daddy, the Elijah Wood movie. This is something that we were actually going to cover on the podcast months and months and months ago. But we just never got to it, and, you know, it probably was for a good cause, because it's not really 100% a horror film. Basically, Elijah Wood is like this dude, and he gets a letter from his dad, who he never met, to come visit him, and it's kind of weird, and he's like, okay, this is awkward and uncomfortable. Elijah Wood is great in it. The story goes all over the place in the 3rd act, but I thought it was decent. I didn't love it or anything. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Or 6.5, sorry, 6.5 out of 10. Then I watched Random Acts of Violence, which follows this comic book artist, and there's somebody that he based his comic books off of, a real-life killer, and it seems like the killer is aware and is killing people, and there's this whole idea. Actually, listen to 22 Shots. Dave goes into it pretty big when we were talking about all the types of films and different things that we watch and stuff like that, and he talks about it came up on there, like the commentary there of like violence and art and stuff like that. I thought it was decent. I feel like I need to rewatch it at some point, not anytime soon, but down the road, because kind of didn't see it in the light that Dave did, so I gave it a 7 out of 10. Then I watched The Call, which was a Asian film Netflix did, and this one was really interesting, actually. It was something kind of different. Basically, there is a woman who is connected to another woman 20 years apart via a phone call, and it was really kind of interesting movie. Did you watch this one?
No, it was one of the ones I wish I would have got to, but I just ran out of time.
Yeah, really good movie. I gave that one an 8 out of 10. And then, I guess I'll circle back to those. I watched The Rental from 2020, and this one you didn't like, but I thought was great. I really liked it.
I did not like it. Like, I'm just saying, I thought everyone was fucking annoying, so it, like, kind of took up, there's the F word, but it, like, I just didn't care at all. Like, what a lame trip. They're all so lame. Like, she's like, no, I'll just do the shrooms tomorrow, or whatever drug they had. It's like, just do them now. You're on a weekend vacation, and then the next day it's like, oh, we're too tired to go for a walk. We just want to, like, it's just like everything is so, they're so lame.
You're lame.
I hate it.
You're lame.
You're lame.
You're lame.
And nothing's scary. Like, it's not you. It's just, to me, it was kind of like, okay. Like,
I thought it had a really good cast.
No, buddy, it sucked.
Anyway, I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Fine.
And then I watched Follow Me, aka No Escape. This is another one of those sort of types of movies that follows like an influencer. This guy has like 12 million subs, and he's for his birthday or anniversary or something, or milestone, he goes to an escape room in Russia that's like invite only, and it's like, oh shit, is this escape room real? And it's you know, kind of like Saw, Hostel-esque. There's some moments of comedy in it too that I think actually worked. I just really liked it. I thought it was super cool. And it is a pretty good watch. I gave it a 7 out of 10. One of the funner movies I watched towards the end there. And then I watched Fingers from the year 2019. This film actually has stars Jeremy Gardner with it, and it basically follows a woman who has an issue with physical imperfections. Her coworker shows up with a missing pinky, and she kind of loses it. Honestly, like, if I'm going to be 100% honest, this is probably the one that I squeezed in towards the end and didn't give my full attention to. It seemed kind of funny, like Jeremy Gardner was like really funny in it, but I wasn't super into the movie. I gave it a 5.5, 6 out of 10. And then I watched Synchronic from 2020, and this was from the guys who did The Endless. And I was really interested in checking this one out. I heard it was more of a sci-fi film than a horror film, and it is. I think there are some horror elements in there, though. Well Go USA actually sent me a Blu-ray of this that I ended up watching, and they actually sent me a copy to give away. So I'm going to give it away on this show. And
I shall take it.
I actually have another copy that I'll give away on 22 Shots, even though I asked for it for this show.
No, I shall take it.
You don't even want this movie, buddy. It's a sci-fi film.
Ooh.
No, you would probably like it. But so the way you can get this copy of Synchronic must be in the U.S. because I don't feel like paying ridiculous shipping prices right now. But all you have to do is either leave a comment on YouTube or in the Facebook group His and Hers Movie Podcast when this episode gets posted. So I will leave it up for a month. So anybody that comments on that will be entered. I'll pull a random name and I'll give away a copy of Synchronic, courtesy of Well Go USA. I imagine we will probably get Dustin to comment. So Dustin, you'll probably win a copy of Synchronic.
Can I comment?
No, buddy.
What if I log into my other account and comment? Then you won't
Then
know.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So this film follows a paramedic who is noticing a bunch of overdoses in his town, and it's because of this new designer drug called Synchronic, and he begins to investigate it and he begins to look into the disappearance of his paramedic buddy's daughter. And he believes that it has to do with Synchronic, and Synchronic seems to bend space and time. It was a pretty cool movie. There's some good sci-fi action in this one. The lead is very good. Sort of the way the Synchronic stuff works is very interesting. Like, it takes you back into time in like different eras and places. Like, but it depends like where you are when you take it and stuff like that. And there's all these different, like, he goes to like the swamp area, and then sort of winter tundra type thing, and the story is just very interesting, and they actually show off some junkies and stuff like that in the beginning of the movie, and I thought that they handled that really well too, which their first movie that these guys did before The Endless, it was about that guy who gets his buddy off of heroin or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Resolution.
Yeah, which I've never seen, but I've always wanted to. I wonder if these guys have a history with substance abuse, or somebody in their family did, because they seem to sort of nail that aspect of it. So I thought that was neat. I'm familiar with that as well. But yeah, this is a really good sci-fi film. I thought it was pretty great. So I gave it a 8 out of 10. And then last night after we recorded 22 Shots, I popped in Full Metal Jacket on 4K, and I thought it was absolutely amazing. It's an all-time classic. I think that Kubrick is the freaking master, and Full Metal Jacket is in my top 5 favorite films of all time. I love the music. I love the way it's shot. The city of Hue, the Vietnamese town, the city was actually all shot at an abandoned gasworks in East London, which just blows my damn mind. One of the best set pieces of all time. The city that's like turned into rubble. Like, you've seen it. I made you watch this movie before.
Correct.
Do you remember like the big city where like it's all rubble and stuff like that?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
That was shot in London, dude. And I just think it's like all those buildings that were like crumbly and stuff, those were real buildings, you know what I mean? So that's why it looks so phenomenal. And the 4K, boy, it was like knocking my socks off in that end scene. The beginning isn't as great, you know, the pale blue lighting and stuff in the nighttime scenes in the boot camp and stuff all look great, but really where the 4K shines is the end sequences in the bomb-stricken city of Way, with the fire and the orange glowing backdrop. Like, I almost popped it in and watched it again, like, because I was just so blown away. And like, even the very final scene where they're walking down the perfume river and they're singing M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E, you know that John?
Yes, I know that John.
With the fire, the orange skies and the fire. Oh, dude, it is just absolutely beautiful. Like, I lose my mind watching that movie, because every single scene is not wasted in that movie. Every single scene is purposeful, which is a lot of what Kubrick did and why he was a master. But boy, that movie blew me away. The 4K transfer.
I have one complaint. So, you come at me, or you come at the whole pod being like, the Golden Glove I didn't want to watch because it's a boxing move. And you used to come at me because I didn't want to watch Full Metal Jacket. But I didn't want to watch a movie about a jacket.
Buddy, but see, the thing you don't understand is Full Metal Jacket is a type of ammunition.
No, buddy, I just thought that it was about people who were very cold, so they needed a full metal jacket to wear.
A metal jacket would make you more cold, because metal is conducive.
Oh, right. That's why I thought they were stupid for wearing a full metal jacket. So I thought, this movie's going to be stupid.
You're stupid. No, it's a masterpiece, buddy. Masterpiece.
Oh, I'm funny. Okay.
I want to make you watch it like 30 times, like I used to my friends.
Oh, dude. It was a really good movie. I agree.
Yeah, you shall watch it again with me.
When?
Every day. Every week. Once a week.
No. I want to watch movies for fun.
This was me watching a move for fun. As soon as I got off, I was like, I am watching a move for fun, and what better move than Full Metal Jacket on 4K. So.
Buddy, I have so many, like, I was looking at my collection, and I was like, I'm going to watch a move for fun tonight, which I guess I'll just talk about that on the next show. But anyway, I was, like, looking, and I was, like, overwhelmed, because I had a lot of moves for fun that I felt like watching, and I hate when that happens, because I was scared. I was like, what if I picked the wrong move to watch?
Shut up. So, yeah, then me and you watched Alien in the theater, and we did have to jet out a little early. I think there was probably like 15 minutes left due to a family emergency. Everything is fine now, though. But yeah, we've seen Alien in the theater before. I think it's a classic. Every time I watch it, I like it more and more.
Yeah, we saw it, like, I think, 2 years ago, because for the 40th anniversary, I remember we watched it, and it's from '79. I do like it. It's a weird movie, because I remember I watched it for the first time, like, at home, and I was like, wow, that was a great film. And then I feel like when we watched it in the theater last year, I was kind of bored by it. But then watching it this time again, I liked it again, like, more than the last time. So.
Well, it's probably because I explained to you that they were basically truck drivers, and you saw it in a new perspective.
No, not at all. I just felt that I wasn't, like, it is a slower film at times, but I was more intrigued by it, and the set design is amazing, and, the alien is very scary. Like, that's just a very scary design it has. Yeah. So I've always thought that, like, the actual alien is super creepy looking. So I do appreciate that aspect of it.
Yeah, it made me want to watch the other ones, honestly.
Did not do that for me. But no, it's a good movie. I do like this movie.
10 out of 10 for myself.
I give it an 8.5.
10 out of 10 for me for Full Metal Jacket, too.
Cool.
And then we watched Fatal, which is a film that came out in... Fatale. It came out in 2020, but we saw it in the theater this past week. I think it was on VOD or something like that. I thought it was our first 2021 movie, but it wasn't. It's a thriller. It follows the guy who was the lead in... What was that movie we watched last year?
The Intruder with Dennis Quaid.
Yeah. Basically a super rich black man who came from a bad neighborhood and got into some legal trouble, turns his life around, and he created an empire for this. I don't even know what the hell it was. What was it, like an agency or something? It was some kind of agency or something like that.
I don't know, dude. I don't understand business. Like, I hate when I'm watching people like, we just closed the deal. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're so boring.
He's probably like a multi-millionaire. He has really nice car, really nice house. He's married. He has a wife. He thinks his wife might be cheating on him, so he takes off to Vegas for a wedding, and his friend kind of convinces him, like, hey, take your ring off, which I try to explain to Carly. If you're not wearing the ring, you're technically not married. So she didn't seem to buy that, though. But it is a rule in real life.
Pig. You're a pig.
What?
Don't get married to anybody, dude. You're so gross.
No, but I'm just saying, like, there's rules to this shit.
There's no rule. You're married.
Yeah, but if you don't have the ring on...
Christ is watching, buddy. Christ is watching.
You don't have the ring on. You just don't understand. Like, this isn't something they made up for the movie. This is an actual real-life thing.
Yeah, for scumbags. Or people that think that their wife is cheating on them so they have nothing to lose, I guess, in the case of this film.
Yeah, so he cheats on his wife, and then the person that he cheats on his wife with ends up re-entering his life unexpectedly. And I was, like, into it by that point. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, I like where this is going. It's thrilling. It's, like, intense. I dug it. And then I just feel like it went so standard and basic thriller in the third act that I was just like, ugh. And I still gave it a passable rating. I still thought it was pretty decent. I thought the acting was really good. Hilary Swank's in this. She does a really good job. I thought the lead was really good. But just the story was a little too by the numbers for me in this third act. So, oh, and I literally was pissed at the ending. So that knocked off a full half point for me.
Not only, I just felt like there was a lot of dumb stuff in the film, like characters doing dumb stuff, like with his cousins, and then like I just felt like people were always walking.
Yeah, that honestly, the cousin was extremely dumb to me.
That was like really annoying and like predictable, that whole scene, and I just felt like there was like 4 scenes of people just walking around other people's houses somehow. Like it was just, I guess everyone leaves their doors unlocked, but no, this movie was okay at the beginning. I was super into it too, because I went into it thinking, this is probably going to be very lame, and I liked it because it didn't seem overly predictable at the start, and then it got to the point where you pretty much knew everything that was going to happen, and like you said, the ending did not make a lick of sense, and yeah, it definitely brought it down for me. I hate when a movie just like falls apart. It feels like it has potential, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
Also, you and I just, like, rich people, right? They just, everything about their houses is, like, plain and just rich people-y looking. Like, if I was rich, I would have, like, everything be rich, but, like, whorehair themed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's mainly movies. I think they just don't want to put any name brand stuff in the movie.
Yeah, it's just, like, I don't know, though, dude. I feel like even I had a few, like, rich or more wealthy friends growing up, and their houses were just so perfect and, like, clean, and it didn't look like anyone lived in them, and it didn't look like they even liked the stuff that was in them, and I just never understood that. Like, you're rich, so make your house, like, for you. But, I don't know, it's just something that I've noticed. And I guess this guy has been typecast as, like, the successful, rich, like, black guy, because I think that's what he was in that Intruder move.
Yeah.
But I think he's also the guy in the Jacob's Ladder remake, but I haven't seen that. But I've seen, like, the trailer, and I'm pretty sure that's the same.
I think he's pretty talented, but yeah,
I think he keeps getting bad role. Like, he keeps playing I didn't mind Intruder.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I like that movie.
But, like, a lot of people hated that, like, thought it was garbage, so I feel bad for him, because he's, like, being in, like, typical thrillers, kind of, paint-by-number thrillers, because Intruder is, like, a little bit of stuff I've seen before, too. But, no, I gave the movie a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to the... Alright, so we're going to go to the films of 2021. I have a bunch here, and what we'll do is we'll just briefly discuss each one, our thoughts on it, and then we will give a top 10 of the ones we're most anticipated to see. Alright?
Alright.
Okay. So the first film here that I have, and these are kind of in no particular order, is a film titled Wrong Turn, which at first I think it was called Wrong Turn the Foundation, but now it's just labeled as Wrong Turn. This actually comes out at the end of the month, theatrically.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, theatrically. So we may actually get a chance to see this, and we would actually cover it on the show if we do. So that's kind of cool. But it is the 7th Wrong Turn movie, I believe. Now, I hear that it's sort of a little bit of a remake in a way, or like a reboot. I think the original director is coming back to direct this one, or he wrote, the original writer came back to write this one. It's directed by the guy who is directing the or he directed The Domestics, which I know you liked.
I did, yes.
Yeah,
That's
so the writer of this film wrote the original Wrong Turn. He also had a writing credit on Halloween 4.
Oh.
Yeah, so Alan B. McElroy. Actually a black writer. I didn't even know that. So yeah, this film is described as backwoods terror and never jangling suspense meet when Jen and a group of friends set out to hike the Appalachian Trail. Despite warnings to stick to the trail, the hikers stray off course and cross into the land inhabited by the Foundation, a hidden community of mountain dwellers who use deadly means to protect their way of life. Suddenly, under siege, Jen and her friends seem headed to the point of no return unless Jen's father can reach them in time. How do you feel about the Wrong Turn franchise?
Well, I was gonna say I can't really give a full opinion because I haven't seen them all. Oddly enough, when you and I, because unfortunately that store, Cash and Culture, that we like is going out of business, we picked up a bunch of DVDs there the other day, and two of the ones I grabbed were Wrong Turn 4 and Wrong Turn 6, because I have 1, 2, I don't have 3, but I have 5 as well. So I've only seen part 1, 2, and 5. And the reason I watched part 5 was because it was kind of set on Halloween, and that's back when I started YouTube and was doing 31 Days of Horror, and I was trying to do all Halloween setting films, so I've only seen those ones. I do like the first one a lot. I think it's really good. The second one I remember having fun with. Part 5 I thought was mediocre, but, like, still, you know, passable, like, as a fun movie. So, I don't know. I think it's kind of, you know, you're saying it's, like, considered, like, a reboot remake. I think that's kind of stupid to even say, because aren't all these movies aren't even related to begin with, so why can't it just be part 7? Like,
no, they have continuity. Some of them.
No, buddy.
Yeah, because part 2 is a direct sequel to part 1. Part 3 is one that's sort of standalone. Part 4 is a prequel, and I've never seen 5 or 6.
Well, I know part 5's not related. I don't know about part 6, but okay, whatever, I guess. No, but I'm a little curious on it. I wish I had seen the whole franchise beforehand, but I am curious because I just think the concept makes for a fun movie, at least, even if it's not super good.
Well, I will say this. It seems as if this one has a budget, which the first film had a budget. The second film had way less of a budget and went direct-to-video. And then it was direct-to-video all through up to part 6. But I've always heard this franchise was very successful on video. So it seems like they're giving it a budget this time. So yeah, definitely curious on it. I think with a budget it could be, excuse me, pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Okay, next up here is A Quiet Place Part 2. Following the film's first events, the Abbott family is forced to venture beyond the home they'd made for themselves. They realize the creatures that hunt by sound are not the only threats that lurk beyond the sand path. This is, of course, directed by John Krasinski again, I believe. And he, of course, was the director of the first one. He also played Jim in The Office. Pretty much a loved figure in pop culture.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a sequel to A Quiet Place, which I did not expect them to do. And it actually seems like a direct sequel, which is pretty interesting. I know it was filmed and completed and scheduled for release right before the pandemic hit. So hopefully we can get it this year.
Yeah, I think we actually had ticks for it, and then everything got destroyed. So that's like my last memory of the world before the world. No, but I mean, this one, I enjoyed the first one. I've only seen the first one that one time we saw it in the theater. I gave it like an 8 out of 10. I thought it was good. Cool theater experience since everyone was being quiet and afraid to chew popcorn or do anything because the move was very quiet. And I like that it's a direct sequel and has, you know, the same cast coming back because a lot of times nowadays you don't really get that. You barely even get sequels or anything, it seems like. So, you know, I think if it's going to be anything like the first one, it's probably going to be successful. The trailer I thought looked pretty good, so I'd say I'm excited for it. What about you?
That one's scheduled for April. Yeah, I'm definitely interested in it. I don't expect it to be as good. I thought the first one made my top 10, but it is one of my favorite theatrical experiences that I had in the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, let's see here. The next one is the Escape Room 2, which this was a film that came out in Dump Month, I believe, not last year, but the year before, 2019, that we actually really ended up enjoying. And this is a direct follow-up, I believe, and I think 2 of the actors are returning. It's basically an escape room movie. I thought it was pretty cool. It didn't blow me away or anything, but I gave it like a 6.5, 7 out of 10. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I am too. You know, at this point, it's kind of like forgettable almost. But I remember the sets were like actually really good in that movie, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. I remember thinking the ending was kind of lame, but because it was trying really hard to set up for a sequel, and that is what it has done. So. Yeah, I think it'll be a fun movie. Hopefully, if it's, you know, of the same quality as the first one.
Yeah, I just think like the creativity you could do with the escape rooms could be fun. Hopefully, it actually involves escape rooms.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have Last Night in Soho. This one's scheduled for April 23rd. This is directed by Edgar Wright, of course, from Shaun of the Dead fame. Starring Anya Taylor-Joy, and it follows a fashion-obsessed girl who finds a way to travel back to 1960s, where she encounters her idol, a charismatic, aspiring young singer, but 1960s London is not what it seems, and the time seems to fall apart with shady consequences. This one sounded really interesting to me because it's Edgar Wright, who I do think is a good filmmaker, but it sounds like it's more like not a comedy, and obviously Anya Taylor-Joy is like one of my freaking favorites. So
Yes. You have made that clear. Yeah, I thought this one sounded cool. I like the sound of the plot, so I am definitely curious on it.
Yes.
Yes. And then you can just go bang Anya Taylor-Joy, and we will go on.
I wish.
I know you do.
Okay, so one film that I thought was 2021, but I just realized is 2022, which is like yuck, is the new Scream film. So
Yeah.
can't include that.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have the Northman, Robert Eggers. Now, I'm not 100% sure if this is 2021. It doesn't have a release date yet, but I'm hoping it is. This is a huge movie. Robert Eggers, of course, from The Witch fame and The Lighthouse, starring Alexander Skarsgård, Anya Taylor-Joy, Nicole Kidman, Ethan Hawke, William Dafoe, bunch of other people. This is a movie set in Iceland at the turn of the 10th century. A Nordic prince sets out on a mission of revenge after his father is murdered.
Oh, Lord.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I thought I heard this one's like not really horror, but I guess
It's probably not going to be.
Yeah, I
It's
guess.
probably, it says adventure, history, thriller, drama.
Oh God.
But I will still see the hell out of it.
I don't know if I can handle this. This guy makes things too accurate, and I just feel that I am not going to understand. What? No, he's a fantastic filmmaker. I'm just going to be scared. I'm going to be like, I don't know what's happening in this movie.
Alright, well, again, I pulled that one up. It wasn't even on the list that I had. I just remembered it all of a sudden. So, yeah, not sure if it's actually, going to be released this year or not. Then we have The Reckoning, which is the new Neil Marshall film. Of course, Neil Marshall from the wonderful Dog Soldiers, as well as The Descent.
Oh, I like The Descent and Dog Soldiers.
Yep. In the aftermath of the Great Plague, amidst the subsequent witch hunts against women, a young widow grapples with the tragic death of her husband in a society completely consumed by fear and death. Because she rejects the advances of her landlord, she is falsely accused of being a witch and is thrown in jail for a crime she didn't commit. She must endure the physical persecution at the hands of England's most ruthless witch hunter and face her own inner demons as the devil himself starts to work his way into her mind. This sounds awesome. This is a period piece. Definitely one of the films I was most excited to check out. I think even last year. I think, was this on my list last year? I can't even remember. Like 2019, I think I knew about it in 2019.
I don't even remember anything about this movie, but I think that plot sounds really good. I think I would probably enjoy that. So,
yeah, it's been on my radar because the stills that came out when it was playing at Fantasia Fest, I was like, oh, this looks very atmospheric and cool.
Yeah, and like I said, The Descent and Dog Soldiers are both really good movies, so I have faith this would probably be good too.
Yeah. Okay, what else do we have here? Godzilla vs. King Kong. King Kong and Godzilla duke it out for dominance in the King of the Monsters Heavyweight Championship event. Of course, this is directed by Adam Wingard. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it because it's giant monsters fighting, and I like King Kong a lot.
I don't know. I don't think I feel like I probably won't like this, but who knows? I like King Kong more than Godzilla, so at least.
Did you see Skull Island?
No, I didn't get around to that one.
I thought it was a really solid one. I like that way more than Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yeah, that Godzilla movie I almost fell asleep during, so
I think
that's why I'm like.
fall asleep during it.
Yeah, I think you probably did. That was when you used to fall asleep during everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have Spiral from the Book of Saw. This is kind of interesting. Chris Rock stars and produces. He apparently, the backstory goes that he was at he met one of the Lionsgate executives at like a party or something like that, and he was like, yo, I have this crazy good idea for a Saw movie. That's how it kind of came to fruition. Of course, the last time we saw Saw was Jigsaw back in 2018 or so. So, you know, a franchise that lay dormant for many years kind of got resurrected. Didn't really do too well, but it looks like they're giving it another go. And personally, I'm very excited about that. Darren Lynn Bousman returns to direct in the 9th Saw film. 9! It's crazy there's 9 Saw movies. But he, of course, directed Part 2, 3, and 4. So he directed, in my opinion, the best one in Part 3. The best sequel, that is. Also, Samuel L. Jackson is in this one. Nobody really knows what's going on in it or the story, and I think that's good. I don't want to know too much about it, but it looks like it's going to be. It looks kind of interesting. I think that it's going to be a return to form.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. First of all, can we talk about how many movies are titled Spiral?
There's a lot.
There is a lot. Like, there was one that just came out this year. There is Adam Green's Spiral. There is freaking, what is it? That one that I made us watch. Uzumaki is called Spiral. There are too many Spirals. No, I don't know, dude. I'm not one to get excited about Saw movies. I did enjoy Jigsaw, even though everyone else thought it was trash bags. I had fun with that movie, I will say. But this looks different. But they might just be like making the trailer like completely not what it seems. Who knows?
It seems like they're holding back on any of the gore, or there won't be gore, so.
Yeah, but I've never been, like, I'm not huge on I didn't grow up watching the Saw movies because I just thought they were too much for me. I've just never been into, like, the torture, depressing Saw moves, but who knows? I mean, obviously we will go see it, and it's cool that they're still coming out with them. But
see,
I'm
like
not
Jeremy
like
says, this is like me and Jeremy's Friday the 13th franchise.
Yeah, stop saying that's like not cool.
Why? It's true.
It's lame.
It's not lame. It's a good franchise. It's one of the best.
All right.
It's one of the out of modern franchises, it's probably the best.
I just feel like they're doing the thing where now they're making too many of them.
No, never. I want one every year. Dude,
no, this isn't like Friday where there's fun moves. It's not fun moves, they're depressing moves. What's the move?
They are fun moves.
They're not fun at all.
They are. Here's the thing. You were too young. This isn't your generation. But when I was in middle school and high school, like every year when one of these came out, like everybody was so hyped to see it. It was so neat.
Dude, like, first of all, Jeremy's only like 3 years older than me, and second of all, I remember
when you're talking about like 2003 and 4.
Let me finish. And like, I swear, in elementary school, there were kids being like, "Yay, the new Saw is coming out." So don't tell me. I just don't like tortures.
Okay, well, I think that it's pretty exciting.
Don't tell me.
And then we have The Conjuring: The Devil Made Me Do It, the third in the Conjuring mainline series. Of course, we've had tons of spin-offs with there's more Annabelle movies than Conjuring movies. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it is.
But this will tie that back up. Of course, The Nun and The Curse of La Llorona. This one is a little bit different. Instead of like them just investigating a haunting, they are actually involved in a court case where a murder suspect claims demonic possession as his defense, and they're trying to prove if he's indeed telling the truth. Of course, we have Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson returning. The one thing that kind of worries me about this, no James Wan directing, and the director is Michael Chavez, the director of The Curse of La Llorona, which is, in my opinion, the worst of the Conjuring films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so excited just because I do like all the movies. Well, I don't like Annabelle and I don't like Curse of La Llorona, which I barely even count. It's just like shoehorned in there to make it like, oh look, it's part of the universe, yay!
It is part of the universe, buddy. It is.
They forced, buddy. there's just a scene of him carrying the doll, and it's like, this is how we're gonna make bank by saying it's part of the universe. But I am so excited because I do enjoy the other films, but I do also agree because I think The Conjuring 1 and 2 are both fantastic, near-perfect movies, and, you know, I think the directing style being different might harm it a little bit, but I am open-minded on it, at least.
All right. Then we have Ghostbusters Afterlife, the fourth of the Ghostbusters films. I've never been a huge fan of this series, never even seen the third one, but it says when a mom and her two kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. I don't know. I'm interested, I guess. The trailer looked kind of fun.
I really don't care because, to be honest, I don't think I've ever seen a single Ghostbusters movie.
Oh, really?
All the way through.
Like the first one.
I might have. No, I don't know. I know the movie's been on TV like when I was a young child, but I can't say that I ever sat through the film. So I can't really say like, yay, I'm excited.
All right, and then we have The Forever Purge. This one's slated for July. The final supposed entry in the Purge series. I believe it's, the fifth one?
Mm-hmm.
The Forever Purge follows two people who find solace at a Texas ranch having fled the drug cartel in Mexico. They'll run into trouble when a group of outsiders decides to keep purging beyond the allotted time when people can break all the laws. I don't think me or you are really a big fan of the Purge series, but I'm always interested in seeing what they could do.
I think I like the concept of this one. That's a little bit different. But no, I'm not a fan. I mean, I've seen them all, and I think they're all fine. I don't think they're bad at all. I just don't get excited for them. Some people really enjoy them, and it's just kind of another franchise that I'm very average on. But whatever. I'm kind of just whatever on it.
All right, Don't Breathe 2. Fede Alvarez co-wrote this surprise sequel. Stephen Lang returns as the blind man. There's not a... The blind man has been hiding out for years in an isolated cabin, is taken in and raised the young girl orphaned from a house fire. He'll have to leave his haven to save her once she's kidnapped. It's kind of... I'm not sure how I feel about this. Like, it's weird.
It is weird. I really enjoyed Don't Breathe.
Me too. It made my top 10.
Oh, did it?
Yep.
That was before I got in. That was the year before I got involved in that. So I probably had watched only like 10 movies for that year, and that was one of them. But yeah, I really dug Don't Breathe. I didn't feel that it was a movie that needed a sequel, and this idea, I like the fact that they have the blind man coming back, but I think the idea just sounds a little iffy to me. I don't know about that.
Yeah, it sounds like he's the protagonist.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't think.
All right.
Who knows?
Candyman, directed by Nia DaCosta, produced by Jordan Peele. A spiritual sequel returns to Cabrini Green. Visual artist and his girlfriend move there to learn about the horrors of the slasher story firsthand. Pretty interested in Candyman, not gonna lie.
Yes, I am very interested. I think the trailer looks fantastic, and I have very high hopes for it. And I usually don't get super hype on movies, but this one actually looks really good, and I hope it lives up to what I think it is going to live up to.
All right, we have Resident Evil. This is a reboot from the director of 47 Meters Down and The Strangers Pray at Night. Apparently this one is supposed to be rooted in the first two games' mythology, so that's, I think, what everybody wanted from the Resident Evil series. Like, the only way I see to reboot the Resident Evil series of movies is if they're going to actually try to make it a horror movie based on the games. not an
Yeah.
action movie loosely based on the games.
Yeah, they could legit like make a completely different story with all this. I don't mind the Resident Evil, you know, the first one and like the second one and whatnot. I think that's all I've seen is like the first two, but I see why people who like the games have complaints, and I think that something can definitely be done with that. So I am a little bit intrigued with this.
Yep. And then we have the Collected, which is the third Collector film. Not much is known other than it's directed by Marcus Dunstan, who made the first two, and it's another Collector movie. I've only seen the first one, which I really liked.
Never seen never seen either of them, so again, can't really say much, but I've heard that they're good. So.
You should check out the first one for sure. You know what's absolutely crazy?
What?
So, The Collector came out in 2009, right? The Collection, I remember when I got into like podcasting and YouTube and stuff, was 2012. We started the podcast in 2013. And I remember Jeremy talking about The Collection when it was like brand new. It like just came out that past year. What's crazy is 2009 to 12 seemed like so far apart. Like, I always thought that it was one of those movies where the sequel was made years down the road, but really it was only 3 years later, and now it's been like 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah.
Which is nuts. It's kind of crazy.
It is.
So yeah, The Collected. And then we have Orphan First Kill. I don't know if this is actually supposed to come out in 2021 or if it's 2022. I don't see any details on it, but the lead actress from the first film, who played the little girl, is Isabella Furman or something. She returns. It's supposed to be a prequel. I'm kind of interested to see. She still looks really young.
Mm-hmm.
She was actually a child, though, when she acted, right? She wasn't like a grown-up, right?
She's the same age as me in real life. She played in that Tape movie that we just watched.
Tape
that we did on the pod, buddy? Tape?
I don't remember any movie called Tape.
Buddy, the rapey movie where she auditions for that move and then the guy's like...
Tape!
Tape,
I
buddy.
forgot all
Tape.
about that movie.
Yeah, but remember, she looks exactly the same.
Was that even on my list? Did I forget to put that? Did I watch 101 movies?
Dude, I don't know, but clearly you don't. We did it on the pod, and you don't even recall it.
Hell no, we did like 50 movies on the pod.
Well, I recall the things we do. Okay,
Do you?
This pod is special to me. I don't know about you.
I feel like we're the only people on the planet that actually saw that movie.
Me too. No one said a thing about that, so that's kind of weird.
You know what? I don't see it on my list. Do you know when we watched it?
I don't know that. I don't even know what episode that would have been. It was a while. I mean, it was a while back. I know that much, but I don't know. Let's see if I can find it.
Yeah, I didn't put it. I watched 101 movies. Nice.
101 Dalmatians.
Cool, because it's not on my list. All right, that's awesome. All right, so yeah, Orphan First Kill.
Tape was episode 24, which was 6 months ago.
What was before it?
Dude, I just exited out of the thing.
You should have known.
No, I don't know, dude. I don't.
So the lead from Orphan orchestrates a brilliant escape from an Estonian psychiatric facility and travels to America by impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy family. So this is a prequel. It's gonna be sounds pretty interesting. I'm super interested in this movie. I love the first Orphan.
Wait, what's the plot again? She does what? I'm sorry.
Buddy.
Well, no, say it again, because I need to know what I'm about to say is not stupid.
The killer, the Orphan, orchestrates a brilliant escape from an Estonian psychiatric facility and travels to America by impersonating the missing daughter of a wealthy family.
Alright, so she's doing the same stuff from the first movie, and I was going to say that she could probably pull it off since she looks exactly the same.
Right, but this is a prequel.
Yeah. Yeah, how,
Isn't that kind of interesting?
Yeah, I don't know how. Well, the thing is, yeah, I was saying she looks exactly the same, but she's also, adult sized. So
Yeah,
I
but
don't.
I don't know. See, yeah, I'm curious how they pull that off. That should
Like,
be
I'm wondering if
interesting.
she's playing like a teenage. No, I don't know. That doesn't make
Like,
sense.
I don't know if there's like gonna be some kind of plastic surgery at the end that like dwarfs her or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like maybe she's full sized. I don't know. It's interesting. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's Orphan First Kill. Of course, Saint Maud was one that we never got. I think it did get released in the UK, but it said it was like one of the hyped films that was supposed to come out last year. Having recently found God, self, Fs, what's EFFACING?
EFFCAC.
AC.
EFS. IG.
ING. Are you retarded?
Dude, stop! I don't know. Look it up. Effacing? What do you say? I don't even think you spelled that right.
EFFACING. I don't know how simpler to spell it.
Make oneself appear insignificant or inconspicuous.
I'm not asking what it means. I'm asking.
I know
how to
you're
say
not.
It.
I'm looking what
How
it means.
do you
I don't
say
know
it?
what it means. I don't know. I guess e-face. It says F-face. F-face, I guess. I don't know, dude. You could have looked
young
that up
nurse
too, though.
Maud arrives at a plush home to care for Amanda, a hedonistic dancer left frail from a chronic illness. When a chance encounter with a former colleague throws up hints of a dark past, it becomes clear there is more to Sweet Maud than meets the eye. I hear it's pretty wonderful.
Alright, well, it should be wonderful then.
Yeah. Okay, then Fear Street.
Oh, yeah.
First in 3 movie adaptations on the book series by R.L. Stine in 1994. In the aftermath of a brutal tragedy in Shadyside, Ohio, a group of teens discover a series of horrifying events that plague their town for over many years, not to be random, that they may be the next victims. I have no idea how they're releasing this, but I'm curious. What can I say?
Yeah, me too. I mean, I have like a bunch of the Fear Street books that I plan on reading one day, but I have not read them, and I did not grow up with those. Obviously, Goosebumps were more my time, so, but I'm curious. I am curious as well.
Okay, Antlers. This is the Guillermo del Toro produced film. A young teacher discovers that her troubled student's father and younger brother harbor a deadly supernatural secret. Taking the boy into her care, the teacher must fight for their survival against horrors beyond imagination. Sounds pretty cool. This is another one that was pretty hyped from last year.
Yeah, I thought it looked pretty cool. I know they played a few trailers, and that's definitely one that I am looking forward to.
Right. Okay, Terrifier 2, directed by Damien Leone. This film is completed, just awaiting release. After being resurrected by a sinister entity, Art the Clown returns to Miles County, where he must hunt down and destroy a teenage girl and her younger brother on Halloween night. As the body count rises, the siblings fight to stay alive while uncovering the true nature of Art's evil intent.
I'm excited for that because I really enjoyed Terrifier. I think he is terrifying.
Yeah, Art the Clown's awesome.
Yeah.
Right, James Wan's new film, Malignant. There's no plot on this one. All I know is that it was rated R. So, it's James Wan, called Malignant. Horror movie. I love James Wan. I think he's great. His return to horror, so hopefully it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. Then we have Army of the Dead, the new Zack Snyder film. During a zombie outbreak in Las Vegas, a man assembles a group of mercenaries to take the ultimate gamble, venturing into the quarantine zone to pull off the greatest heist ever attempted. Sounds like Train to Busan 2.
Yeah, it does, actually.
I don't know. To me, like, it just sounds like an action movie, so I'm looking away.
I'm not very interested, and I also don't like that title. It's very generic.
I'm good with the title, but
I'm not good with the title. I'm not good with the move. I don't care.
All right. Final two here. Halloween Kills 2021, David Gordon Green. The saga of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode continue. See, that's just even dumb that that's in the title. In the next thrilling chapter of the Halloween series.
I mean, it's a Halloween movie, so of course I'm excited, even though I don't really like I just don't really like Halloween 2018? Yeah, 2018. I didn't really care for too much, but I'm so excited because it's a major franchise move, and I want to see it.
I mean, I just don't see how it could go down.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Halloween 18 is one of those films that years down the road, much like Halloween 4 and 5, that I like eventually.
There is stuff to it that I do like, and, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, listen, I hated Halloween 2 when I first seen it. I didn't hate it. I just thought it was, like, not good. No,
Rob Zombie?
I just thought it, I thought it was not good at one point. Now I love it. I think it's amazing.
Yeah, sometimes the passage
I don't
of
see
time
that
helps.
will happen with Halloween 18, but I have hope for Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
All right, and then we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yes. Is this what is this? Like a reboot or another move?
It sounds like they're doing what Halloween did, but again. So, dude, okay. The original is called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. The sequel, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. The third film, Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Then we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. And then we have The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And then we have The Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. Then we have Texas Chainsaw 3D. Then we have Leatherface. And apparently this one is called The Texas Chainsaw Massacre again.
Yeah. Stupid.
Dude, I'm like really not okay with that.
I think it's very dumb.
The IMDb description says another sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So, like every other film in the franchise?
Yeah, but the plot on Letterboxd is a little bit more fleshed out. In what?
No,
What?
Okay.
What?
Read it!
Why are you interrupting me?
Read it! I didn't know you were about to read a thing. Go ahead.
What were you going to say?
What?
What were you going to say?
All I was going to say was, like, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise is the most unfranchised franchise ever, because it doesn't have, like, every single movie is either a direct sequel to the original, or a prequel to the original, or or basically a remake.
So, the first film is the first film, the original. What is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
That's a sequel to the original.
Okay. What is Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3?
See, to me, that's like just another sequel to the original, because it's like...
You're pretty much correct.
Yeah.
What is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4?
On the back of the case, it literally calls it a remake. So, to me, and it feels like it's trying to remake... It feels like a parody remake of the first one.
Well, that's not true, because in the opening title scroll, it talks about the first film, and then says there were two other incidents that were unrelated, discounting the second and third film, but it's basically a sequel to the first one.
Okay, so it's another sequel to the first film.
And then we have the 03 film.
Yes.
Which is...
And then it's prequel. A remake to the original.
Yep, and then the 2006 beginning film.
Which is a prequel to the remake.
Right, and then we have Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Which is a sequel to the original.
And then And then we have Leatherface.
Which is a prequel to the original.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Like, it doesn't even, at least, like, you know, Halloween, like, had a run of, like, sequels, and then it, like, redid it, but Texas Chainsaw didn't even try. It just was like, we're just going to keep remaking the move and see what happens.
Yeah, and then there's that one that never came out, All American Massacre, which was like a fan film, but with Bill Moseley.
Yeah.
As Chop Top.
Yeah. They should
Done by Toby Hooper's son.
I wish they could do that. Like, Bill Moseley could still play Chop Top. I wish they would make another movie.
Yeah, that's what I always kind of hoped for. What I wanted out of... I do like Leatherface, the 2017 one, but I wanted to see, like, a movie about Chop Top, the hitchhiker, Leatherface, and Drayton as kids.
Yeah.
That would have been amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so this film, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, in 1974, the world witnessed one of the most bizarre crimes in the annals of American history. In 2021, the Face of Madness returned. Does that not sound like a space year?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Texas Chainsaw X.
Melody, a 25-year-old San Francisco moneymaker, drags her teenage sister Dreama, a wheelchair-bound amateur photographer, with her to Texas on a business trip out of fear of leaving her alone in the city. Once there, it's not long until they're fighting for their lives against a 60-year-old Leatherface.
Does it seriously say that?
Yeah.
60-year-old Leatherface?
Yeah.
Buddy.
Apparently, it's a sequel to the original.
That's hilarious. They acknowledge the fact that he'd be old as
What do you what 74, 84,
Wait.
94, 2004, 2014? Yeah, around 60, huh?
Yeah, I guess so. That's interesting. That almost sounds like it's trying. I mean, you got a girl in a wheelchair that her sister
Franklin.
brings along. Yeah, Franklin. I picture the girl being Franklin.
Go in.
Yeah. I picture a girl, like a young, like pretty girl doing that.
I just think of Dave when he's like, of course Franklin's annoying. They take him to a swimming hole.
When it's 100 degrees out, he's paralyzed. I forgot about that.
He's like, I'm tired of people saying Franklin's annoying. Of course he's annoying. It's 100 degrees outside. He's in a wheelchair, and they take him to a swimming hole and leave him in the house. All right, so that's all the. I mean, obviously there's going to be a ton more, like hundreds, but those are the ones that I saw.
Yes.
All right, so starting with your 10 to your 1, what is your number 10?
Number 10, I would have A Quiet Place 2.
All right. My number 10 is Fear Street. Just very generally curious about what it's going to look like. I'm hoping it's going to be like Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark type thing.
That's what I was actually picturing. Even you reading the description sounded like it might be that way, so that could be cool.
Speaking of which, they're supposed to be doing a sequel to that, too.
Oh yeah. I do want to see that.
All right, number 9?
Number 9, I actually put Wrong Turn because it just seems like it could be a fun time. It could be a disaster, but I think it could be fun.
Right. And yeah, my list can change and stuff. Like some of these other films I'm definitely interested in, but I just kind of picked the first 10 that stood out. Antlers for me, number 9. Curious to see what that's about.
Nice. Alright, my number 8, I actually went with Orphan First Kill because I love Orphan, and I think it's cool that they do have that girl coming back, even though I have no idea how that's going to work. But I still have hopes for it, because I do really enjoy that first one.
Yeah, she was good in Tape.
Yeah.
That I forgot we watched.
I don't even know how she was in it.
My number 8 is Last Night in Soho. Gonna show my girl Anya Taylor-Joy some love with that pick. Very curious to see that one.
Alright, my number 7 is The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because again, much like with Halloween, it is another franchise movie. You know, I consider Texas Chainsaw to be, you know, one of the big ones.
Yep.
And I mean, I have fun with the majority of the movies in that franchise, even though like it's a dumb timeline. I still like them, so I'm always excited for another one.
All right, my number 7 is Terrifier 2. Curious to see what Art the Clown is up to. He's pretty scary, and I think this one could be even bigger and bloodier and crazier than the first.
Yes. Yes. My 6?
Yep, 6.
Yeah. My number 6 is The Reckoning, because I thought that plot sounded really cool, and I think the director has done good things, so yeah, I'm pretty excited for that, actually.
Alright, my number 6 is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Always curious for a new Conjuring film. They're big movies. I like to see them in the theater or drive-in, so yeah.
My number 5 is actually The Conjuring 3 as well. I still have hopes for it, even though it's not the same director, because I think those movies are good.
My number 5 is Malignant, which is the new James Wan film. James Wan is 100% accurate for me. He did make my top 50 favorite directors, and he made it quite high. From Saw to the underrated Dead Silence to my favorite film of the 2010s in Insidious, to The Conjuring, the Conjuring 1 and 2. I mean, he's just been amazing. So, yeah, Conjuring, or Malignant, yeah.
Alright, number 4, I put Antlers. I thought it looked really cool by the trailer, and we've been waiting a long time for it, and it's one that I've anticipated for a while, so yeah, I'm still excited for it.
Number 4 for me is Spiral, the Book of Saw. I love the franchise. It's grown on me ever since we did it. I mean, I've always liked it, but I think when Saw 5 came out, I was kind of over it a little bit, but it was more because I was sick of everybody else talking about it, and I'm like, you guys don't even like horror, you know, so, but when we covered it on the show, I don't think I enjoyed watching them as much when I was watching them, but, like, after talking about them and thinking about them and stuff, I really want to revisit that series. Maybe I'll do it this Halloween.
Cool. So my number 3 is Halloween Kills. Already said, you know, it's a franchise. I like the Halloween franchise. And I'm very curious to see where they do go with the story. So, yes.
Alright, and my number 3 is Halloween Kills.
Oh.
Yeah, I will always be excited for one of the big 3 or 4 franchises because I grew up with them and they were such an important... I mean, I guess I didn't grow up with Halloween, really, because I didn't watch those until I was a teen, like 16 or something.
Yeah.
But I do consider it, like, a big movie of the big, you know, the, like, I guess it's still part of my childhood, but I definitely have grown to love the Michael Myers character more over the years, and it's, you know, I mean, I loved the remake so much, and I don't know, it's just Michael Myers, you know, I'm gonna want to see any of the big 4, so.
Right. Alright, my number 2 is Terrifier 2, because as I said, I really loved that first movie. I thought Art the Clown was one of the scarier villains, I guess, to exist today. Even picturing his face creeps me out. I just think he's very scary, so I'm excited for this. I hope it lives up to the first one.
Alright, and my number 2 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Definitely probably in my top 10 favorite franchises. I like all of the movies more or less in their own ways. Like the original is my all-time favorite. The sequel is one of my favorite movies to watch, to just like throw on. Leatherface I liked a lot more when I was growing up, but I haven't seen it in a while, so maybe it'll, maybe I'll like it a little bit more. And then 4, it's bad, but I still kind of enjoy it. I love the remake and the prequel. The 3D one is probably one of the weaker ones, but then I really like the Leatherface too. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw, I'm always going to be excited. I'm curious to see if it'll be another direct-to-video one, or they'll actually try to release it wide.
Yeah, that's a good point. Alright, and then, of course, my number 1 is Candy Dick.
Mine is too. So excited for this film. I love the original, and I've always loved it as a kid, but I've always kind of considered it like second-tier horror villains, but I think it's amazing now. And yeah, super curious to see a Jordan Peele inspired one. And also, he is working on a People Under the Stairs reboot as well, which I think is perfect for him. So
Absolutely.
pretty excited. So yeah, that is our 10 most anticipated. Again, they kind of fluctuate and change and stuff like that. There's a bunch of other films I'm looking forward to. We talked about them. But yeah, that's it for this episode. Quite a long episode. I was supposed to watch Moves for fun tonight, but it's already 3 a.m.
I watched the Move for fun tonight, so I win.
Alright, whatever.
Alright.
Alright, and with that said, we'll see you guys next time. Not 100% sure what we're going to do. Hopefully we'll be able to find a 2021 film to cover. So with that said, we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Out.